Welcome to the Helping Families Be Happy podcast, where we explore the often messy world of family, love, and relationships. I'm your host for this podcast, Adina Oberman, a mom, former preschool teacher, picture book lover, and member of the Familius marketing team. I'm also the creator of Big Books for Little Hands, a site dedicated to connecting parents and teachers with the best books for the ups and downs of life with little ones. We welcome today's guests, Erin and Kate, the creators of Storybook Basics. Erin and Kate are both California credentialed teachers and mothers to young children. Kate is a graduate of UC Santa Barbara, where she also earned her master's degree in education. And Erin graduated from Northwestern University and received her master's degree in teaching from USC. They are best friends who connect over type A tendencies, organization hacks, and workforce disposition. In December, they launched their Instagram account, Storybook Basics, which focuses on how parents can connect with their children one picture book at a time. This episode aligns with the Familius habits, read together and learn together. You can learn more about the Familius 10 Habits of Happy Families by going to the Habit Hub blog on familius.com. Welcome, Kate and Erin. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So tell us about Storybook Basics and how you guys got started and what the motivation for starting the Instagram account was.
Absolutely. I think Erin and I were experiencing the same dilemma that most parents of young kiddos feel. We have this deep desire to offer the best to our kids in this busy, fast-paced world that is so demanding of our time and attention. So, as you mentioned, we are type A personalities who love a good checklist and an organized calendar. So we sought out to figure out the most effective ways to connect with our kids that doesn't feel like yet another thing on the to-do list. We definitely didn't want spending time with our children to feel like a chore. So I think our experience as teachers with lesson planning, our knowledge of pedagogy, and truly our genuine love of picture books, combined with that day-to-day desire of truly slowing down and enjoying childhood and parenthood, resulted in Storybook Basics, which essentially Basics is an acronym for book, activity, snack, ideas, and connections. So basically, each week we feature a quality picture book. We suggest a themed low prep activity with a well-paired snack. And we find that as we read, play, and eat with our kids, they inevitably will share ideas and connections with us. We also every week suggest a question at the end of the book that helps us delve deeper into the hearts and minds of our kiddos and gives us an authentic chance to really share our own values with them. So, it's funny. We took our first wobbly steps forward last fall in creating this Instagram account. We were very new to it. We still are in a learning curve, but it's so much fun doing it together. And in fact, it really all started almost a year ago to date when Erin sent me a very nonchalant text. Hey, do you have 20 minutes? I have an idea I want to run past you. And that was the birth of Storybook Basics. And, here we are. We're loving this passion project.
It's really interesting to hear you say that because a lot of the people that we work with, a lot of the members of our influencer team and a lot of the members of our audience are also people who got started when their needs as a parent kind of met their passion, at whether it's educators or people who are just really passionate about literacy, people who just really love books, people with a really niche skill. And I think it's so wonderful when your your passions and your real life sort of come together, you can create this sort of really magical and really, really valuable thing to offer to other parents, which I think, so many of us need. I like that you included snack in your acronym, because I know myself and I know my kids, like, the food is key. So it sounds like you really know your audience.
It's unbelievable. I don't remember asking my mom for as many snacks as kids these days. It's a given. Where are my snacks? And the water bottle. There's never going to be a more hydrated generation than our children. So yes, I agree. If you're going to sit down and read the book, you got to have the fun activity and you better bring the snacks.
That's so true. So as far as your audience, are you trying to offer resources for, like, the parent every day? Are you targeting teachers and homeschoolers? Who are you kind of hoping to reach?
We're definitely trying to reach a caregiver for the child, definitely in the home, whether that be the parent themselves, grandparents, sitters, nannies, homeschooling parents. But it can also be used for teachers, because they can give this resource to parents to say, listen, we understand that you just feel like you are inundated with so much information, so many to-dos. The world is faster paced than it's ever been, just because of everything that's at our fingertips now. And teachers can say, listen, go to this Instagram account. They feature a book every week. You can just get that book either at the library or Amazon or your local bookstore and follow along. We always choose books that we feel like has content that is of value. Very little would we ever include fluff books. These are books that have value to them and have values inside of them, that if you want to just have a casual conversation, you can. If you want to delve deeper and have a really heartfelt, this is a family standard, this is a family value that we want to discuss, you can do that too. And so if you follow along, we will feature that book. We will give you the activity. We will never use glitter, by the way, in any of our activities. And it should be items that you already have around the house. We're not going to give you a big list that you need to go out to the craft store and get, or this elaborate snack that, is Pinterest worthy. These are things that you already have that you just put together in a way that maybe you wouldn't otherwise think of, that pairs so beautifully with the book and gives a more immersive experience.
Exactly. We want it to be manageable. All of these resources are free. It should not affect your budget. That's what is really important to us too. We want caregivers to be able to easily take these ideas and apply them.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that part of what you're doing, aside from all of the educational and developmental value, is you're offering ways for parents, caregivers, teachers to connect with their kids, outside of screens, outside of maybe what they would typically do in a day without your support and the resources that you're offering them. Do you find that that parents or caregivers are saying that they're struggling to connect with their children? Is that sort of part of the need?
Yeah, I think that, again, we are inundated with so much information that is telling us you need the latest and the greatest system for your child's success and for you to connect with your child. And so what that does is it focuses on two of parents and caregivers' biggest insecurities. One is our budget and the other is our background. So what we are hoping to provide on our Instagram account is a space to stop focusing on budget and background and focus instead on books and bonding. So the reason that budget can be out, and you're very familiar with this, is that the children's book market typically prices at a pretty affordable price point and goes on sale quite a bit. And you also have libraries. That is an example of the community believing that it matters to invest in a literate society. So budget should be out. Background should also be out. And there could be actually two mindsets that work against you with background. Either you have, I am not educated and I don't actually love reading. And so I'm really concerned that I don't know what to do to set my child up for success. And so it's almost you just freeze in that and you don't do anything. Alternatively, you could have the pendulum swing the other way. I am so educated and I so love reading that I better create a protege and I need to go now. And then you put so much pressure on it. And so either of those mindsets and background is not very helpful. And so we hope we're giving you a big exhale and telling you that study after study tells us it's not the latest or greatest. It's not your budget. It's not your background. It is sitting down, reading a book with a trusted caregiver. And so that's the book. That is the most important thing for a child's literacy and their social development. And so what happens when you sit down with that book with your child? There's inevitably going to be a bonding session because kids are naturally curious. They're going to ask you, why did they draw it that way? Or what does that facial expression mean? Or what do you think is going to happen next? They want to ask questions, and you get to engage and find out, oh, I didn't even notice that. Or I was so busy wanting to turn the next page. And they actually have a really good question and observation. And so you get to have that time together, that one-on-one time, making eye contact. That is kind of a lost art in many ways, and get to bond with one another. So we hope that our space just really encourages parents. Do not believe the false narrative that you have to buy, and have the bells and whistles. Time with you is the most important factor in their literacy. So grab a book, sit down, and have a good time together.
Absolutely. I think there's a viral meme that says there's no app that can replace your lap, which sounds kind of corny, but it's really true. And it's so in line with the message that you're sending, that you don't need all of the things your child, your student, a child you're caring for needs you and your attention and your time, and for you to read to them. I think it also is, it kind of relates back to what you were saying about the mindset, because you are modeling that mindset for your child when you're sitting down and reading to them, and you're teaching them so many things. And one of them is that reading and literacy is very important. And this is something that we as a family or as a classroom, or as a caregiver, we're going to dedicate time to, because it's important for all of these reasons. I want to circle back a little bit to what you said about mindset, because I think it's such an important point. So can you talk a little bit about some of the tools that parents and caregivers can sort of carry with them when they are engaging with their child and trying to think about how to use their time wisely?
Yeah, I think this kind of relates to the fact that effective read alouds really do not look the same for every kid. Not only do they not look the same for all kids, but they're not going to look the same for your same child in any given day or season. So just for illustrative purposes, Erin and I like to categorize two different sets of kid personalities. One we call the snuggle bug, and the other is the busy bee. So I'm sure we all know some snuggle bugs and busy bees. And the snuggle bugs, are kiddos that really do want to have that calm and quiet time with you as you do your read aloud. They thrive in that type of environment. So an effective strategy for getting their minds and their bodies ready for a read aloud session could be to have, for example, a designated reading blanket. So when you pull that blanket out, either to cuddle on the couch, or maybe you set it outside on the grass and sit under a tree, that is their visual indicator that will immediately signal that it's time for quality time with you. You can also do things like light a scented candle, or have soft music going in the background that's not distracting to, the story, those sorts of things to indicate that. But then with the busy bee, I think they appear to not be listening during read alouds because they need their bodies to be active. So what you will find is they will actually listen and be able to focus when you are pairing that kinesthetic knowledge to their auditory knowledge. And this is something we've learned as educators. Effective strategies for the busy bee would be, to give them something tactile to hold on to or to manipulate during reading time, like Play-Doh. They could color. You could have stickers out. You could theme the stickers to the message of the book. They could use building blocks. And like we've mentioned, we can always resort to snacks. And it could be something that relates to the story. So I think parents and caregivers are often shocked to find that while it looks like their little busy bee isn't paying attention, when they have something to hold on to and to manipulate, when you ask a question about the book, they will be able to answer it.
I love the message that you're sending to our listeners. I think it's such a great reminder for all of us, even though we might kind of know this in the back of our minds, that we all learn in different ways. And what is working for one child may not be the best strategy for another child. So this is such a great reminder of trying to connect with your child and figure out how they best learn, what are their needs, what is going to set them up for success. And so just sort of knowing how they operate and what their little minds and bodies really need is such an important thing. It's very empowering for the adult and for the child. My son is a busy bee for sure. And once he's settled, he is the snuggle bug, but for the most part, he's the busy bee. And so for him, having that, we often use like a chewy necklace because he's very sensory seeking, and having that around his neck helps him to calm down and get ready for reading and get into that like snuggle bug state. It's almost a transitional object for him, but it's also very soothing. So for us, that's very effective at bedtime because he does enjoy reading, but that transition from like busy bee playtime to, okay, settling down for bed, that can definitely be a challenge. So I think, yeah, sort of just getting to know the needs of your child it's just extremely important. As we begin to wind down, I want to make sure that our listeners can find you and all of these amazing resources that you're providing. So where can we find you?
You can find us on Instagram at Storybook Basics. And just based on what we've been talking about today too, with the vocabulary exposure that you're going to find in these picture books, I think is also going to be very surprising. So on Tuesday, so today we're recording on a Tuesday. So we just posted for this week's featured book, all the vocabulary words that you will find in these picture books. And on average, picture books have 70% more rare words than conversations. So I think it'd be a really fun experiment for your listeners to open up a picture book and just kind of look for all of the words that you don't use in your common lexicon that are found in picture books. Again, you don't have to have these big elaborate vocabulary flashcards. Pick up a picture book, and we are happy to give you so many suggestions at Storybook Basics on Instagram.
Absolutely. And I just want to wrap up with saying our motto, our true motto that we fully believe in, is slowing down childhood one picture book at a time. And we want to do that with you.
Mm-hmm. That is such a great motto and such a great reminder for all of us. I want to thank you both so much for being with us today. As we conclude today's podcast, I'd like to thank Familias for their support in bringing this podcast to your ears and your heart. We'd be thrilled if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review. And when you're ready for the next amazing book adventure, we'd be honored if you'd choose a book from Familias. One step at a time, we can make the world a happier place.